It's a shame.
All the way back in 1856, James Alexander Holden, an immigrant from England, set up shop making saddles in Adelaide on the south coast of Australia. Back at the turn of the 20th century, some cars came from the factory.
Wow, how it comes full circle. He started making saddles in Adelaide. I'm going to guess this is the beginning somehow of Holden's, and they just won their last race in Adelaide. There you go.
As a chassis plus drivetrain, but no body. So coach building companies like J.A. Holden would build custom bodies or coaches to fit on top of these chassis. By 1923, they were producing 12,000 vehicle bodies a year, which included Model T bodies for Ford until Ford could finish building a factory of their own.
No kidding.
Towards the end of the 1920s, the Great Depression hit Holden hard, and they went from producing 34,000 bodies a year to just over 1,600.
That's tough.
They were dangerously close to shutting down until General Motors swooped in and bought Holden in 1931, renaming the company General Motors Holden Limited. GM kept the brand afloat, and Holden was able to continue building bodies for Chrysler, Austin, DeSoto, Morris, and Willys Overland. The first official Holden car debuted in 1948. It goes by a few different names, the 48 215 and the FX, but it was marketed as the Holden to honor their founder, James Alexander Holden.
In Australia, this says it all. The FX, the first Holden, the 1948 symbol of our manufacturing maturity.
It's a cool
This
car.
mid-size sedan had stylish fenders and a big chrome grille. Aussies were stoked because this was the first all-Australian car, something that they could finally call their own. Sales boomed, and Holden followed up the 48 215 with other models. And by the end of the 1950s, they were exporting cars to 17 different countries. By 1962, they sold their millionth car. They employed almost 24,000 workers across 7 factories throughout Australia. And even though this period marked the peak of Holden production, they were just getting started. The Holden HK Monaro launched in 1968. This sleek Coke bottle style car was loosely styled after some Chevys of the time and was available with a 350 cube.
Yeah, you could see the Nova resemblance a little bit, but it's different for sure. And it's uniquely Holden. They had a way to differ it enough to where it's not like, oh, that's just a Chevy. You know, it's different. It's way different. Peek at the right-hand drive, too. Look at the left-hand drive Chevy, the right-hand drive Holden.
The inch Chevy V8 that put out 250 horsepower.
Hey, I love a 350.
A Monaro
I got
GTS
2 of them
327, driven by Bruce McPhee, won the legendary Bathurst 500 the year it came out, which gave Holden its first race victory.
Hell yeah.
Holden proved that they could keep up with American performance. And their style was on point, too. Check this thing out.
Oh, hell yeah.
The Sandman is a good example.
The Sandman's a beast. America missed the beat with that one.
Never work in other parts of the world. But in Australia, this weird surf wagon ute was legendary. Holden Special Vehicles, or HSV, was a performance division that started in 1987, replacing the Holden dealer team. HSV has made some of the coolest performance vehicles to ever come out of Australia. One of my personal favorites is the HSV
Maloo. That thing's a beast.
Aboriginal word for thunder. The Z Series Maloo R8 is the fastest performance pickup truck in the world, even faster than the Dodge.
So what's this say? Hold up. Utes are not technically pickups for this episode. I'll allow it. Don't at me. Fun fact, Aussies consider... I can't see this. Oh, yeah. It's basically saying, like, Aussie consider our American trucks, like, big, full-size Silverados, Rams, Ford F-250s, all those things as big utes. Yeah, that one I'll leave alone, too, because I've had disagreements before. To me, I was always under the impression that utes were car-based, and then you still called big trucks trucks. I've heard both. I've heard some Aussies say trucks. I've heard some Aussies say utes for all of them. Whatever. Everyone has their own opinion on that, and I think that's just fine.
Faster than the Dodge Ram SRT-10, you know, the one with the Viper motor.
Yeah.
Makes me really sad we'll never see the R8 Maloo in the U.S.
Yeah.
So, when did things start
I think Americans
going
would have loved that.
Wrong.
So long, mate. You've been bloody good to me. But it's time to move on.
Peter Hannenberger took over as managing director of Holden in 1999, and from the get-go, Hannenberger had a strong vision for the company. He proposed an ambitious 10-year plan that included the development of a small, affordable, all-wheel drive car that could compete with the BMW 3 Series. Hannenberger disregarded the opinions of GM execs abroad and focused on what he thought Australians wanted out of a car. Hannenberger understood who drove Holdens, and he wasn't afraid to lay into it a little bit.
Australia, what's your favorite sport?
Football.
Snake?
Pies.
Animal?
Kangaroos.
And what's your favorite car, Australia?
Holden.
A good example of a car that catered to the local market is the Holden Ute. It's basically the personification of business up front, party in the back.
Hell
the
yeah.
Ute was wildly popular with blue-collar workers, farmers, and tradesmen. By 2002, 21% of all cars driven on Australia were Holdens. That's
Pretty
nuts.
good.
To put that in perspective, GM holds the biggest market share in the US at only 17%.
Yeah, that's
that
a
year,
good point.
Holden posted a $265 million profit. At the helm was Peter Hannenberger, who is regarded as the last great director of the company. Keyword, last.
Yeah. Okay.
Hannenberger's plan called for the expansion of Holden's plant located in Elizabeth. Hannenberger emphasized the need for halo car development to showcase performance, and the result was the Commodore SSV.
Nice.
It was one of the most insane cars on the planet. You could get it in either a sedan or a ute, and like most Halo cars,
Love
the
it.
technology in the Commodore SSV was supposed to trickle down to the rest of the lineup. Needless to say, Hannenberger knew which direction to steer the ship, whether his bosses in Detroit agreed with him or not. And guess what? His plan worked. Holden continued to post record profits. In 2003, they made $285 million, and in 2004, $300 million.
Hell yeah, they were on a
that
roll.
was the last year they ever made money. It also
no.
coincided with the retirement of Peter Hannenberger.
Wow. Okay.
Uh-oh. Things are starting to get shaky. After Hannenberger retired, GM execs saw an opportunity to tighten their leash on Holden. GM wanted Holden to be their global distribution center for that part of the world, instead of focusing on just the Australian market.
Of course.
Essentially,
Okay.
GM was telling an Australian company not to make any
Right.
Australian cars. This
Yeah, that is horrible, and unfortunately, sounds about right. How frustrating.
didn't sit well with the company and would prove to be one of the first death blows in Holden's slow demise.
Yeah.
Soon after the departure of Peter Hannenberger in 2003, his 10-year plan was quickly tossed aside in the garbage.
Oh my God.
Holden, close to $1 billion deep into the development of the VE Commodore, struggled to bring the car to
Oh my
market.
God.
People wanted more fuel efficiency, and Holden failed to deliver. Factors outside of the company's control, such as skyrocketing global exchange rates, made exporting cars way more costly, and the number of exports shriveled up. Just when things seemed like they couldn't get any worse, the global financial crisis of 2008 hit.
no one needed
GM
that,
had to
right?
sacrifice brands like Hummer.
Yeah, I was going to say, remember in the early thousands, even before the recession in 2008, GM was in a weird mood, man. They were killing everybody, it seemed like. Awesome brands over here in the States like Oldsmobile and Pontiac. Who else? I feel like I'm missing someone. But either way, they just knocked these brands off the face of the earth. They were just kind of like, oh, we're just going to, yep, you're defunct. Oh, you're defunct. And then Saturn was awesome. I still have two of them. They're really fun. And they were our only decent attempt at like compact cars from an American company. And they had a lot of cool features that only Saturns had. And they were like, nope, you're gone. Hummer, you're gone. Like, dude, what was GM on, man? They were just acting weird in the early thousands, man.
Saturn, and
Didn't work
very
out too well.
unfortunately for Holden, Pontiac.
Yep.
This sucked for Holden, who produced the Pontiac G8 for
Right.
export. That's right, if you have a G8, it's Australian.
That's right.
As more and more Holden models were
So
discontinued
is the 04 through 06 Pontiac GTO. That's a Holden Monaro.
to make room for rebadged GM models, the company started losing its Australian identity. In 2013, GM announced that they would shut down the Holden plant in Elizabeth, one of their
Oh,
highest
jeez.
producing plants.
That's terrible.
And the last car manufacturing plant in Australia. And in 2017, the factory
Wow.
officially shut down, leaving the remaining 25 people out of a job. One of the last cars to roll off the line was the HSV GTSR W1. That's a lot of letters. The fastest, most powerful, and most expensive
Wow.
car
That's a beaut,
ever
though,
produced
huh?
in Australia. And it's beautiful. And it's also proof of the disconnect between what Australians want and what's sustainable. Around this time, Toyota, Mitsubishi, and Ford had all closed their factories as well. It wasn't looking good. With so many manufacturers pulling out of Australia, it's clear that it wasn't just out-of-touch decisions of General Motors that led to Holden's downfall. It has a lot to do with the percentage of the global car market that Australia represents. The countries with the most car sales